My brain is a crowded place. I always feel like I'm forgetting something, avoiding something, or both. It flits and floats from one idea to another. It takes me 5 tries to get butter from the fridge because by the time I open the door, I forget what I needed in the first place. If I want to do something when I get home, by the time I take off my shoes, it's disappeared in the crowded recesses of my brain. I often find myself in Grand Central Station, known for being crowded, full of people going and coming and going again. But all of these people have a goal in mind, a direction. They will all, eventually, hop on a train to a destination where they will enter back into the world with something to do. It seems like most people live their lives from point A to point B, but I tend to veer off course, even when my plans are as simple as doing the dishes or folding laundry. But especially when they're bigger plans, like writing stories and going for important opportunities. These thoughts, these things I need to do, are squished between that book I want to finish and the ease of my Twitter feed. They mill about, quietly stirring in my brain as if they are used to this morning commute to the forefront of my mind, back to the end of the line. Between waking and checking the time, brushing my teeth and eating food is forgotten until my tongue touches my teeth and remembers that I exist outside of the brain filled with crowded thoughts. Sometimes I crowd on purpose. I don't want to deal with the fact that I need to find a better job or get in touch with that person, work through that difficult emotion. To-do lists have one action crossed off and are forgotten about. I take advantage of the thoughts milling about and find someone else in the crowd to dwell on. Something easier. Something that makes me happier, or at the very least, less stressed. When I was in school, I did this with deadlines, with studying I didn't want to do, and classes I didn't want to take. Part of it was arrogance. I know I'm smart, but that wasn't good enough for the school I was going to. Not always, at least. Eventually, these purposeful distractions would turn into something I couldn't control. After all, one person can only do so much in a sea of traffic that doesn't listen to stop signs. One thought would turn into 2, which would multiply exponentially until I had forgotten what I was distracting myself from in the first place. Scheduled 5-minute breaks would turn into hours of directionless wandering through the crowd of thoughts and taking automatic routes of distraction. Relatively recently, I learned the name for my crowded state: ADHD, not the hyperactive kind. In fact, what was assumed to be laziness was literally my brain being exhausted from working twice as hard to focus on one thought in that crowd. So this crowd has a name now, which helps somewhat because I can identify when my brain is getting crowded with thoughts that have nothing to do with what I'm supposed to be thinking about. I can, instead of hoping these thoughts will listen to stop signs, form a barricade before it becomes a problem. It will eventually spill over, but I can get 10 more minutes than I used to. The thoughts in my brain can now, sometimes, hop on trains, having direction and working towards a goal. And if a thought begins to veer off course, I can start to push it back into place. This isn't all my brain is. It's not just a crowded place. And ADHD isn't just too many thoughts in my head. It's a lot more than that. And I live in New York. I'm used to crowded places. And I'm getting used to seeing that world in my brain. Special thanks to Jay Patel for being my patron. If you would like to support my video work, head on over to my Patreon and check out the perks.